Hello everyone, this is part 17 of What If Naruto Was the Child of the Moon in Percy Jackson, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Slurp. A familiar blonde-haired shinobi sighed in relief as he had another meal of his favorite food in the whole world. He was wearing mesh armor underneath an orange Camp Half-Blood shirt. I will never get tired of this. You sure love ramen, do you, Naruto? Next to the blonde, a pink-haired Kanoiki watched him eat as he savored the meal he was having. No kidding. I'll never get tired of this. The blonde named Naruto answered as he took another bite. Say, Sakura, if you're getting tired of the food, you can always leave so that we can have our quality time, another Kanoiki who had long, blonde hair said to Naruto's left. I didn't say that, Ino. Quit making up stories. The Kanoiki named Sakura argued back. Easy girls, Naruto said, finally looking up from his food once tensions built up. You're ruining the atmosphere. I don't mind the food, Naruto. As long as it's with you, another Kanoiki made her thoughts known. This particular girl is a meek girl with a slender build and a fair complexion. Her hair is dark blue that is kept in a Haim style reaching her lower back and strands framing her face reaching her shoulder. She was wearing a lavender and cream-colored hoodie jacket with lavender cuffs over a mesh armor. She was also wearing a navy blue pants, black, low-heeled sandals, and a forehead protector with a black strap loosely kept on her neck. We all know her as Hinata Hyuga. Funny thing though, she was the one who changed the least out of everybody. Flashback. So, when is Kakashi-sensei returning, Barkan? Naruto asked the Hokage as they left the hospital. He shouldn't take long as the mission goes well, Tsunade said. So where did you eep? The conversation was cut off when the familiar sound of surprise caught everyone's attention. It was Naruto who moved towards the sound to greet his old friend. Hey Hinata. Naruto greeted. How have you been? Naruto. Hinata's face turned fully cherry red. The blonde noticed this and placed a hand on her forehead. Are you feeling okay? You look like you have a fever, Naruto commented. Was all Hinata could get out before the color drained for her face and she fainted. Oi Hinata. Naruto panicked as he caught the Hyuga air before she hit the ground. Oh. Here we go again, Tsunade sighed as she watched the scene unfold. Does that always happen? Asked a confused Sata. Pretty much, yeah. Ever since we were kids, Sakura answered. Yeah, pretty sure you were too, Talia said sarcastically. Sakura flashed her an irritated look. In any case, let's get her inside in case she needs medical assistance, Tsunade said. Answer, they did. They went back into the hospital and found an empty bed for them to lay Hinata in. The Hokage did a routine checkup on her. She deemed her to be fine, just the usual fainting she goes through when a certain blonde was near. After that, she left the teens with the unconscious Kanoiki, as she still had work to do. A few minutes later, her eyes fluttered open. To her surprise, the familiar whisked face was awfully close to her own, making her face heat up all over again. Thank goodness you're finally awake, Naruto cheered. Naruto, you're back, she said. Sure am. I just returned this morning, the blonde answered. So, how are ya? I'm alright. Everyone in our class is Chunin now, except Hinata's voice trailed off, her gaze shifting to Sakura for a brief moment. That's awesome, Naruto said as soon as he heard the news. We should celebrate as a whole class. That's fine, Hinata said. I'll tell Shino and Kiba. For now, wanna get some ramen? His eyes were literally stars right now as he answered, sure, why not? But you just ate, Talia said. But I called first dibs. Sakura had a stunned look on her face. Naruto ignored everyone behind them since the opportunity for more food of the gods was up for grabs. What are we waiting for? Let's go. He grabbed the Hyuga's hand, helped her up, then pulled her along the way as they made their way to the stand. All three of those who were left let out a huge sigh. Well, that's Naruto for you, Grover commented. Honestly, does he ever get full? Talia asked. In all those times we were on the team, he doesn't, especially if it's ramen, Sakura answered. Even back at home, Grover added. I don't suppose you guys want more ramen, do you? Sakura asked the guests. Oh, gods no. Grover answered. I'll admit, it's delicious, but I'm too full to have any more. Talia gave her own answer. How about I show you some of our deserts while we wait for them to finish? Sakura offered. I don't see why not, Talia said. Let's go. End of flashback. Yeah, that happened as usual. After that, Naruto showed his friends around the village where Naruto and his friends grew up in. Although, for the two visitors, they considered it a town with how big Konoha is. Anyway, the guests enjoyed their time in the village. They were sad though that Annabeth wasn't able to come with them. She would have enjoyed the architecture in this place. The girl always did love rare designs. So, Talia and Grover decided to take home souvenirs for their two friends. Naruto made sure to make it up to the daughter of Zeus for the sudden interest Naruto's classmates had on him, so he made sure to devote most of his time and attention to her. Oh yeah, and Grover too. Days later, as all other good things, their little vacation was coming to an end. Since Naruto had to undergo some training under the watchful eye of the toads, he stayed behind. When Talia and Grover were ready to leave, Naruto led him a little way away from the Konoha gate. Before they left, Naruto wrapped Talia with a tight hug and gave Grover a fist bump. With that done, the two brought out the grape-shaped ornament, stepped on it, and they were on their way. That left Naruto to go to the sacred mountain of the toads for him to train. The whole training was different to say the least. I mean, who trains by staying absolutely still? Naruto's ranting aside, it was a really productive training. Jiraiya and Fukuosaku really hammered the arts inside of him. The training wasn't that hard, was it? It was just frustrating to train without moving. In the end, you can really see the fruits of Naruto's training. Which brings us to where we started. See, the other Kunoichi who Sakura called as Ino reiterated. At least Hinata get it. Alright, Sakura relented. But, Naruto. Naruto said. Do you really have to leave again? Sakura asked. Well, I have a family there and they kinda need me, you know, Naruto answered. The three girls had a look melancholy in their faces. They remembered the rough childhood the blonde had that shouldn't have happened had they talked to him sooner. Even the one who had been rooting for him ever since had a look of regret strewn on her face. She blamed herself for not going against her guardian's instructions to stay away from him. But that was old news now. All they could do now is feel happy for him. At least they won't see him with the look of hidden loneliness in his face anymore. Despite their feelings now, Ino still managed to say, still, we're happy for you, Naruto. Thanks, you guys, Naruto said, stopping briefly from his meal. Everyone was silent as they each were lost in their thoughts. At the same time, they were broken from their thoughts as a voice came from behind them. I believe it's about time we left now, Naruto. Everyone turned to see the gray-haired Jonin we all know and love wearing clothes of the style Naruto came in with the day he arrived, complete with a backpack slung behind his back. Damn, Konoha's seamstresses were good. With one look of Naruto's clothes, they were able to make clothes in the similar style but in different designs. Now I hear you reader asking, why is Kakashi dressed in the clothes of the other world and calling on Naruto that it's time to read? Well, no, not another flashback. Hey Naruto, Grover said during one of the downtime of touring the village. Yeah, was Naruto's response. You're Jonin instructor, have you ever asked what his heritage was? Grover asked. Naruto shook his head. Nah, he was very secretive with us. Even when we did introductions during our first day as genin, the only thing he told us was his name. Why, what's the matter? You know how I've been assigned to different schools to look for half-bloods, Grover began. Grover, you don't mean, Talia commented as she heard the conversation brewing. My nose has never let me down, Grover said. Why don't we ask him later? Naruto offered. Grover adapted an uncomfortable look. Could you do most of the talking? Fine, Naruto relented. We probably should ask him without the others, Talia suggested. That's probably best. Later, Naruto, Grover and Talia met up with Kakashi as it was time for the Team 7 reunion that they had set up. They were now only waiting for Sakura to finish up her work at the Leaf Hospital. So, there they were, sitting in their booth at the barbecue restaurant. They were currently making small talk about more of Naruto's shenanigans in the other world. It was then that Talia elbowed Naruto to get the conversation going. Ow, why'd you do it so hard? Naruto complained as he nursed his arm. Never mind that, just get on with it already, Talia waved him off. Is something the matter? Kakashi asked after witnessing the weird scene. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto began. Yes, Naruto. Is there something on your mind? Kakashi inquired. Utsi Grover here can make guesses about a person's life by reading your energy, Naruto continued. Kakashi turned to Grover, like a seer or something. Grover flashed a small glare at Naruto, and then gave out a nervous smile and nodded his head. Why don't we hear what we got so far? Kakashi said. I can feel like you never knew your mother. You got sent to your dad's doorstep on a small crib falling in the breeze. Grover narrated his prediction to the Jonin, adding the details that most sons and daughters of goddesses experience. Behind the Jonin's mask was a surprised expression that the teens could read his expression from the lone eye that he shows to the world. Not to mention, the satyr in the group has the ability to read his emotions. That's exactly what my dad would tell me as a kid when I ask about my mother, Kakashi explained. How did you know? Well, you might want a sip of your sake with what we are about to tell you, Naruto suggested. A flashback. Saying that Kakashi was surprised is an understatement. After the three explained to him his situation, there was a look of total disbelief on his face. At first, he thought they were messing with him, but after further explanation and a quick discreet show of Grover's hooves, he was slowly getting a grasp of their situation. Then came the offer by Naruto for Kakashi to meet his half-brothers and sisters back in the other world. Long story short, the persuasive blonde was able to persuade the Godime Hokage to allow Kakashi to go with them to, as the official backstory would suggest, the other continent. And so here we are with Kakashi walking to the ramen stand to pick up the blonde who yet again was having some more of the food he totally worships. You ready to go, Naruto? Kakashi asked. As soon as I finish up, Naruto answered as finished the last slurp of noodles in his bowl. He then turned to his friends. At least I got to stay here long enough, right? That's not enough, Sakura said. I know, Naruto's voice trailed off. But I'll always think of this place as my home. I wish I could meet your new family, Ino said. Maybe, someday, Naruto suggested. Then, we'll look forward to that, Hinata said. Naruto smiled and brought up his arms asking for one last embrace. The girls scrambled one by one to reach to give Naruto a tight hug and peck on the cheek. Well, the two did, but Hinata's embarrassment was too much just being in Naruto's arms that she fainted. Yes, I know. Again. Oi. Hinata. Not again. Naruto exclaimed as Hinata went slack in his arms. The other two girls took the Hyuga from Naruto's arms and propped her up on their own shoulders. We'll handle, Hinata. You go now. You can't keep Kakashi-sensei waiting, Sakura said. You sure? Naruto asked just to make sure. Yes, Naruto. Now go before we keep you here for good, Ino said. Sheesh guys, I was just asking, Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Come on Kakashi-sensei. Answer, Naruto and Kakashi went on their way walking a little way away from the village gate. So, how do we get there? The white-haired Jonin asked. I was supposed to use this, Naruto said producing the grape-shaped ornament from his pockets. But this only works on one person. Fortunately for us, Mr. D gave us another. The unexpected visitor, you told us about. Yes, after we sent word of the extra, passenger, Mr. D personally came and delivered one. And this, Mr. D, he's one of the gods. Yep. Naruto tossed one of the ornaments to Kakashi to which the latter easily caught. So how does this thing work, exactly? He asked. You crush it underfoot and you wait for the magic to happen, Naruto explained. Okay, Kakashi nodded. Ready. As ready as I'll ever be. So, both shinobi did as Naruto had explained earlier. At first, nothing happened. Kakashi was about to question Naruto when the vines sprouted from the ground and enveloped them. As the tendrils rose from the ground to cover them, a thought crossed Naruto's mind. I hope they're not getting into trouble without me. Westover Hall, Bar Harbor, Maine. In an open field outside the school, there stood 3 demigods and a satyr facing off against an intimidating-looking human with 2 eyes with different colors and a long leathery, scorpion-like tail with spikes at the tip. Behind the 4, there were 2 more kids that looked like they were siblings. These were Grover, Annabeth, Percy, and Talia. Grover had gotten taller over the months and grew a few more whiskers on, but otherwise, he still passed off as human. He had a red cap covering his curly brown hair and goat horns, baggy jeans, and sneakers and fake feet covering his goat legs and hooves. On top, he was wearing a black t-shirt with the words Westover Hall, grunt etched on the upper left corner. At the moment, he had his reed pipes on hand, ready to play the notes to assist his friends. Annabeth too had gotten taller now than even Percy. What's changed was she now wore silver earrings that were shaped like owl, the symbol of her mother, Athena. Before she usually had her hair in a long ponytail, now she let her hair naturally tumble down her shoulders. Right now, her dagger was drawn and a New York Yankees baseball cap was on her other hand. Talia had rugged black hair and black punk clothes and covered by a ripped-up army jacket. She wore black leather pants and chain jewelry. This gave her an intimidating appearance of her own as she glared down the opponent in front of them, not to mention being armed to the teeth. She was armed with a huge spear and, get this, a shield, modeled after the one used by the king of the gods. This particular shield had a figure of the severed head of Medusa molded on the bronze that brought spear to whoever this gal was facing. For Percy, nothing much had changed over the months as far as appearances go, but for his attire right now, there were ribbons tied over his black hair and a bunch of lipstick graffiti all over his face. Don't ask me how this happened, cause my guess is as good as yours. He had his signature sword drawn right now, but he was bleeding from a dagger embedded over on his shoulder. The demigods were staring down the man they know as a teacher from Westover Hall. A huge intimidating figure of a man with eyes of two different hues. With the numbers advantage, they should have the upper hand, right? Well, Talia ran into battle and made a jab at the teacher's head, but the latter snarled and swatted the spear aside. His hand morphed into a huge orange paw complete with claws that slashed across the daughter of Zeus' shield, creating sparks at the impact. She was pushed back by the attack, but she managed to roll backwards and land on her feet. As she landed, the teacher took this moment to fire a volley of spikes at Talia, the same spikes that were sprouted on Percy's shoulder. She was able to raise her shield to block the attack, but she didn't expect the force behind the missiles and she was thrown back. Grover raised his reed pipes to his lips and played a frantic jig, something that pirates would play and dance to. On command, rope-thick weeds sprung from the ground and entangled around their opponent's legs. To get out of the trap, the man decided to reveal his true form to everyone present. He roared and the transformation began. His form grew larger, breaking the weeds that ensnared him. The face remained, but his body was that of a huge lion. His tail whipped around, spraying more of the spikes towards the demigods. A maticore, Annabeth yelled. Really? Who are you people? The girl behind them asked, getting tired of being ignored. No way. The girl's brother exclaimed in glee. He's got 3,000 attack power and +5 to saving throws. What are you talking about? Annabeth yelled as she ran to knock both of them down. Get down. More thorns flew all around them. Percy remembered his wristwatch and hit it. Metal spiraled out, revealing a thick bronze shield. Not a moment too soon, the thorns were sprayed in his direction, impacting on the newly sprouted shield that left a huge dent on the metal. Grover scrambled to get out of range, but he tripped on his own feet and landed with a loud thwack and yelp right next to Percy. Yield. The maticore yelled. Talia stirred and slowly stood up, and yet she still yelled defiantly, never. Are you sure you want to do that? The maticore's face twisted into an evil smile. A chill went up the spine of the demigods as the whirring of helicopter blades thundered through the night sky. And then, it showed itself, blowing the mist away. It was a sleek black military gunship complete with attachments of laser-guided rockets. Lasers pointed to each of the demigods, pointed at their chests. Searchlights were shown over everyone, blinding them. Now, do as I tell you and come quietly, the maticore said. Damn it, Talia cursed. But then, the most amazing thing happened. A shadow passed all of them and entered the helicopter. Suddenly the lasers shut off and the helicopter retreats slowly, confusing everyone, especially the maticore. He raised a phone to his ears and spoke, come in. What's the problem? A garbled voice spoke back to him over the radio, causing him to adapt a furious expression. He turned to the demigods and asked, which one of you did that? Not one of them spoke up. They were still confused by what happened. I asked you a simple question, didn't I? The maticore furiously reiterated. Which one of you did that? The maticore readied the spikes on his tail. Oh, I see what you want here. What will it be? Answers or screams? He stepped forward on his way to the two siblings along with Annabeth. It was then that the shadow returned and intercepted him by kicking him in the chest, sending him flying away. The shadow was relentless. Without giving him time to recuperate, he followed him to where he landed and punched him to the ground, creating a small crater on the ground. That left the maticore with his mouth hanging open and the whites of his eyes showing. Glad I made it in time, the newcomer said with his back turned to everyone. Is everyone okay? Annabeth frowned upon recognizing the voice. The others, they adopted a look of relief once they recognized the new voice. Naruto? Talia asked. The very same, he answered. Pan. Grover said as he felt the power surging in their savior. Perfect timing, man. Awesome. Percy said in delight. Well, the hero always arrives right on time, Naruto said. Annabeth rolled her eyes. Naruto walked back to his friends climbing over the small crater. He stepped up close to Annabeth and ruffled her hair. Hey there, Annabeth. I missed you too. Talia finally stood up and ran to Naruto, wrapping him in a hug. Naruto, you're back. Sure am. Naruto said as he broke the hug and gave Grover and Percy a fist bump. I see you've found yourselves in a sticky situation. Blame the seaweed brain here, Talia glared at Percy. He couldn't wait for the rest of us. Why me? Percy complained about being blamed for the situation. Cause you charged in all by yourself and almost get yourself and the kids killed, Talia explained. But I didn't, did I? Percy said. Yeah, but still, we could have planned our attack together, Talia growled. Guys, that's enough. What's important is we're safe, right? Grover said. More importantly, why do you feel like Pan all of a sudden? The demigods were surprised by this. They took this moment to examine Naruto properly. It was the same Naruto they know and love, except for his eyes. His iris developed an orange hue with pupils in a slit pattern in the middle. And surrounding his eyes were orange pigmentations. He was wearing a short-sleeved red coat with black flame patterns, which was given to him by Jiraiya as a gift for surpassing him. Naruto, your eyes, Talia said with worry. No, it's okay. It's part of my new jutsu, you know, Naruto explained. Like that time in Polyphemus Island? Percy asked, to which Naruto confirmed. No wonder. Grover exclaimed. Pretty neat, huh? Naruto asked, earning nods from his companions. Anyway, who are the kids? Oh, these are Bianca and Nico D'Angelo. They're demigods we have to take to camp. They have the same strong demigod scent as you guys, Grover explained. Hey, Naruto knelt down in front of the kids and flashed his 1000-megawatt smile. How you doing? I'm. Bianca's cheeks flushed at Naruto's close contact while Nico had stars in his eyes. You're so cool, Nico said like he was talking to a celebrity. Bianca elbowed his brother and began to speak. We're fine, but can someone please tell us what is going on? Naruto was about to answer, but the dust from the ground finished swirling around the maticore, healing him from the damage he had sustained. I have to admit, boy, you have caught us off guard. The maticore said, standing up with the dust still swirling around him. For that, I'll spill your blood and send your body to your mother. Naruto heaved out a sigh. Sorry, Bianca, was it? We have to take care of this monster before he can take anybody else's life. He then stood and looked to his friends. Come on, guys. Let's kill him properly this time. The 5 of them took a fighting stance, raising their weapons ready for another fight. But before all hell could break loose, the sounds of hunting horns pierced through the silence of the night. The maticore's expression shifted to absolute rage, not happy about what's to come. Talia's expression shifted to irritation. And Grover seemed to be dazed with his eyes seemingly heart-shaped. And, Naruto, he was surprised by what he was feeling. It was the same feeling he had back in Yansei Academy, or any time for that matter when he watched the moon. It was the familiar caring feeling from the one he had been longing to meet all this time. With his surprise, only one word escaped his lips, Mom. A hunting horn boomed through the night. Among the gathered people in the huge clearing, a large man with the features of a lion and a tail of a scorpion's face contorted to rage at what he heard. No, he said, it cannot be. He didn't get to finish his statement as a streak of moonlight zipped past through the heads of the teens gathered and sprouted on the lion thingy's upper arm. Except, it wasn't a streak of moonlight. It was a silver arrow that glowed silver like the moon. The maticore roared in pain as he grabbed his shoulder and nursed his shoulder, pulling out the arrow. Ah, the maticore complained. Show yourself. Several spikes were shot out at different directions, dozens at a time, as he yanked the arrow out of his flesh. The blonde in a red coat fired several kunai intercepting his opponent's attack. Why don't you just curl into a litter box like the little kitten you are, maticore? Naruto taunted. You are vastly outnumbered. Why should I? The maticore retaliated in between heavy breaths. The numbers do not matter since all of you are children anyway. Children? Percy asked. Oh, wonderful, Talia muttered under her breath. Grover swooned. No way, they're here. Can someone please tell me what's going on? Percy asked. Before anyone could answer him, they emerged from the trees. Archers as young as 10 emerged from the trees and shrubbery. All of them were wearing silver ski parkas and jeans and armed with bows as their primary weapon. They advanced at the maticore without fear with their bows drawn and aimed at the monster. One of the younger girls with auburn hair gathered in a ponytail and silvery yellow eyes walked ahead of the group. She was easily the most beautiful out of everyone gathered around, making every male, except Naruto, catch their breath in awe and a particular satiswoon out loud. Excellent work, my son, the girl said. You never cease to amaze me. That voice, the said blonde uttered as flashbacks of the time they spent trapped in the Lotus Hotel flooded his mind, especially that one voice who gave him a warning. Is it really you? He continued. Of course, it is, she answered with a warm smile. The orange pigmentation slowly disappeared from the blonde's eyes as he disregarded everything that was around him, revealing the sapphire orbs that stared at the young girl, threatening to spill some tears. He inched forward towards the girl, but he stopped in his tracks when some of the other girls moved to the defense of the younger girl and aimed their weapons at the blonde. Stand down everyone. It's okay. The young girl raised a hand up to stop her companions from turning the blonde into a pincushion. When they lowered their weapons, the young girl gestured for Naruto to continue and said, Now, come here my son. Without wasting another moment, Naruto rushed to the young girl, wrapping her in one of the tightest embraces he had ever given in his life. Carson, he said, letting the tears fall. I never thought I'd meet you. I'm sorry, my boy, the younger girl said. But Zeus had decreed it to be that way. If I only had it my way, you'd be with me hunting. As everyone watched this unfold, Percy leaned over to Talia and whispered, What does that mean? I think it means mom, Talia answered. Don't you find it weird that she looks younger and he's calling her mom? Percy continued. Talia gave him a punch on the arm, scolding him, Idiot. Don't ruin the moment. The 12-year-old broke the hug and took one good look at Naruto. My, you've grown from the bratty child I found in that waterfall, she said. Oh Carson. The blonde protested as a light blush appeared on his cheeks. Not in front of everyone. Oh, I'm sure they won't mind, she said as she reached up to stroke his cheek, feeling a small purr that the blonde tried to hide. It was supposed to be a touching moment to watch for the demigods, for the hunters. Some of them do not look pleased, but the maticore had to ruin it. You're forgetting, I am still here and I can tear you all to shreds. The monster roared. The young girl sighed and looked past Naruto towards the monster. Without looking at the blonde, she told him, We'll continue this later, okay? First, we have to take out the trash. Naruto nodded. Me. Trash. You call me trash, and yet here you are directly interfering with mortal affairs, goddess. The maticore countered. No, this is not against the ancient laws. The hunting wild beasts falls within my sphere of influence. And you, foul creature, are a wild beast. Permission to kill, milady. A tall and graceful lady stepped forward among the girls. She had brown eyes, a slightly upturned nose, copper-colored skin, and a regal expression on her face. Permission granted, Zoe, the 12-year-old told the lady with a circlet. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the maticore roared defiantly. If I can't have these half-bloods alive, then I'll have them dead if I have to. He dove for Talia and Percy, who were still dazed from the earlier fight. Without fear, Annabeth charged the monster, knowing her friend's reflexes were still down. Annabeth, no. Naruto yelled. Get out of the way, half-blood. Zoe ordered. Get out of the line of fire. Annabeth didn't listen. Instead, she jumped onto the monster's back and drove her knife into its back. The monster howled in pain and turned around in circles, trying to shake the demigod off her back. She then turned to Naruto as she held on for dear life and said, You're not the boss of me. I can handle myself just fine. Fire. Zoe ordered, despite the collateral damage that might happen. No, you'll hit her. Naruto countered. Zoe looked at him. Are you saying we aim pulley, boy? As the argument went on, The maticore stood still with Annabeth still on his back. I suppose this hostage will do fine. Come after me if you dare. And you huntress, you shall pay along with the other gods. Those were his last words to everyone present before he moved to jump over the cliff. Damn it, can't make it in time, he thought as he moved to intercept them. He was about to jump over after them, but the 12-year-old stopped him. Naruto, stop. But Carson, I can catch up to them, Naruto protested. The 12-year-old shook her head. There's nothing else you can do. All that training, and I can't even save her, Naruto said as he fell to his knees and punched the snow. Lift your head, my son, the 12-year-old said. Why don't you and your friend take some rest? I don't understand. Why is Naruto calling that kid, Mom? And who are these other kids? Percy asked. Talia sighed out loud. I can see how you stress out Annabeth so much. The girl with a circlet, Zoe, raised her voice at Percy's statement. Do not misunderstand, boy. She said that last part like it was a contagious disease. You are in the presence of. It's okay, Zoe, the 12-year-old girl raised her hand. I can understand him not recognizing me. He is a boy after all. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Artemis, goddess of the hunt. As soon as she said that, Grover shook himself out of his awe-induced trance, fell to his knee, and said, Thank you, Lady Artemis. You're so, wow. Get up, goat boy. Talia scolded. Snap out of it. Can't you see? Annabeth is gone. Yeah, Grover, Naruto said. Lay off my Carson, will ya? The two siblings behind in the background just watch everything unfold, but they didn't find the right time to speak up because of the danger. Now that things have died down, the girl decided to make her thoughts known. Hold up, she said, getting everyone's attention. He refused to tell me anything ever since we left the building. Now that Dr. Thorne is gone, will somebody please tell me what is going on? She continued pointing at Percy. That was mean, Percy, you know, Naruto chided. Keeping her in the dark like that. It wasn't my fault. The boy in question protested. The maticore didn't give me the time to. Okay, I get it, Naruto chuckled. I was just kidding. He then turned to the two, and for the first time that night, he was able to take a good look at the siblings. Then, it clicked. The interactions he had in the hotel returned along with the blunders he and his friends had. A smile tugged at his cheeks. Bianca and Nico, fancy seeing you guys out of that place, he said. The siblings racked their brains trying to think when was the last time he saw this blonde. Their memories from that place were kind of hazy, but one face was clear. It was only a matter of time until they recognized who this was. Bianca was about to speak, but Nico beat her to the punch. Hey, you're that guy who inhaled all that ramen, Nico said enthusiastically. Shush. Naruto tried to shush him. Geez, you'll ruin my image in front of the ladies, you know. We already know that you eat a lot, Naruto. Talia called him out. Your image is already ruined. Naruto sighed. Thank you, Talia. What are you doing here, Naruto? Bianca asked. Did someone bring you out too? The blonde shook his head. Nah, we broke out, you know. But that's not important right now. I believe you have some questions. Artemis smiled as she watched her son act like a big brother to the two kids. She leaned over to her second in command. Raise the tents. We'll be here for a while. A few moments later, the hunters raised the tents within minutes as the demigods talked and explained things to the two kids. Everyone was offered hot chocolate and cookies that no one had the foggiest idea of where they came from. Naruto began by telling him about the gods and their affairs with mortals. At first, Bianca dismissed his claims to be just another big fan of mythomagic. But then, the blonde asked about their parents. She didn't know what to say. She told him that they were orphans, but they receive a bank trust that pays for their school. Naruto explained that it sounds really familiar. That's what is happening to him. Shocking the older sister. He told her that people like them were constantly in danger of attack. Grover even brought up that the demigods sent attracts monsters to attack them. Memories of their own attacks came back to the two. Nico even brought up an "I told you so" face for her unbelieving sister who dismissed almost everything. Answer, here they were. Talia and Zoe were glaring at each other, clearly not keen to spend time in each other's presence. Naruto and the kids just finished their history lesson. So, what happens to us now? Bianca asked, the shock of the revelation still evident on her face. Oh, that's easy. That's what we were here for. We came to get you and bring you over to camp, Percy said, enthusiastically. A camp? Nico asked. Like a summer camp. Percy nodded. Camp Half-Blood. It's a camp where kids like us go and train for summer. For some, they call it home. Or, Zoe spoke up. There is another option. Talia growled and her glare on the circlet-wearing hunter deepened. No, there isn't. That's enough, you two. Let's leave the children to rest. Artemis sighed. And Naruto and Bianca, could I speak to you two privately? As they trudged to the head tent, an argument was brewing at the group of demigods that Artemis and the two in question left. To Naruto, it sounded like Talia was scolding Percy about his rash decisions leading to the situation, but the argument didn't last long as Talia walked out. Bianca and Naruto looked at each other, and Naruto just shrugged, used to the son of Poseidon's antics. Head tent. On the outside, the tent did not look any different than the others. Artemis led the two inside the tent. The inside didn't look intimidating as Bianca was expecting. Instead, it was warm and cozy. Silk rugs covered the floor. A golden brazier blazed in the center despite the lack of fuel. The goddess sat in front of a polished oak display stand that held her huge silver bow which resembled gazelle horns. Around the room, animal pelts of different kinds of animals were hung from the wall. She gestured for Naruto to sit beside her, to which the blonde gladly obliged. What startled Naruto for a brief moment was a glittering deer with silver horns. At first, he thought it was another one of the pelts, but his thoughts were quickly dashed when the deer stirred and sniffed him. He raised a hand to pet the animal, but he paused for a while when it reared his head back, then subsequently sniffed him. Upon confirming that the blonde smelled like its master, the deer licked his hand and allowed the blonde to pet it. Bianca watched the interaction as she waited for the cue from Artemis to let her sit. Both demigods were handed hot chocolate and cookies to make them feel at home. Before everything though, Zoe was sent to fetch Percy, much to the lieutenant's dismay. Take a seat, child, Artemis said. You need not be afraid of me. Oh. Thank you, Lady Artemis, Bianca bowed before taking a seat across from the two. Are you intimidated by me? The goddess asked. Bianca shook her head. It's not that, milady. It's just, I didn't think Nico's mythomagic game was real. Never in my life would I ever dream of meeting a goddess, much less being a demigod myself. That's fine. I was the same when I first found out, but don't ya worry, my Carson's awesome, you know. Naruto said. How did you know that? Bianca inquired. This is the first time you've met your mom, isn't it? That's. Naruto didn't know what to say, but he quickly thought of something to answer. I didn't need to meet her to know that. I just kinda knew it, you know. Artemis smiled. That's sweet of you, Naruto. Now, for the matter at hand. Bianca looked to Naruto for support. In truth, she was really nervous about what would be asked of her. Naruto just nodded, silently telling her that everything would be alright. As was said to you a while back, demigods must go to Camp Half-Blood lest they be slain by any monster that comes across her path or comes across their scent. Artemis began, earning a gulp from Bianca. Especially you, young demigod. I sense your demigod scent is as strong as Percy or Talia. Now that you mention it, Naruto said. It's kinda like back then with Percy, you know. Gee, is it that bad? Bianca forced a smile. I know I showered before the dance. Naruto chuckled. You know, that's not the first time I heard someone say that when the demigod scent was mentioned. What we were referring to is akin to a homing signal. It was a spell cast upon you by Lamia, a daughter of Hecate, in order for monsters to find you easily. It was revenge for the curse Hera placed upon her for grabbing the attention of my father, Artemis explained. I remember the story. It's yet another proof that most of what happened in Greek mythology is, because Zeus, you know. Naruto said as thunder boomed overhead. I see you've inherited your mother's personality. You do remind me of her in a way, Artemis commented. But you better be careful with your words, especially with my father. He can be very temperamental. Well, unless he wants a demon fox rampaging around New York City, then he won't touch me, you know. Naruto said, causing Artemis to ruffle his hair. Can we move on from the monster out to make a snack out of us? Bianca pleaded. Do you know who my parents are? Or at least one of them? Artemis regarded. Sorry, that is not for me to say. It is your parent that must claim you. Can you at least tell me my other choice? She sighed. Ah, yes. Females have the choice of joining my hunt and travel with me throughout the world free of responsibilities. You will gain eternal youth and live for many centuries, possibly longer. You will be shown how to defend yourself and shown how to take care of yourself without the aid of men. Bianca seemed impressed by the perks she would receive should she join the hunt. But at the same time, she thought of Nico. She couldn't bear the thought of leaving him alone, but then again, she didn't want to be responsible for him anymore. Thinking it over herself didn't help at all. While she was in her thoughts, her gaze shifted to Naruto silently pleading for help. Naruto understood this, so he spoke up. I'm not in the position to tell you what to do here, you know. Bianca, this is a decision only you could make. Should you join, I won't hold it against you. Just know that Nico is in good hands. Should you not join, then, I don't think Carson would blame you for that, you know. I know she would understand, right Carson? Yes, my child, Artemis answered. As my son said, the decision is yours to make. We have just presented our pitch, as the mortals would say. Despite the kind words said to her, Bianca still didn't know what to do. Her thoughts were still conflicting, so she asked a little favor, could I think this over? I am still not sure what to choose. Very well, I will await your answer till sunrise, Artemis said. Thank you, Lady Artemis, Bianca bowed again. I shall take my leave for now. Artemis nodded and watched as the young girl leave the tent. Why do I get the feeling that if she chooses differently, I would get blamed for this? Naruto asked aloud. You would have to understand the hunters, Artemis said. They are still not used to you. I know, Naruto said. But they're the closest I would ever get to having siblings, you know. Then, you will have to earn their trust, Artemis suggested. I wouldn't expect you to take the easy way, would you? Naruto thought it over, then adapted a determined expression on his face. I'll work hard for them to accept me. I know you will, she smiled. Milady, Zoe said, fabric covering the tent entrance. I have brought him. She said it like she brought a rotten package. Thank you, Zoe, Artemis thanked her lieutenant. You better stay for this one. As you wish, Zoe said and sat in front of the two and gave Naruto a small glare. Join us, Percy Jackson, Artemis gestured to sit in front of them. The boy obliged and sat a distance away from Zoe for fear that she would gut him for just breathing the same air as her, which was not far from the truth. You should try the hot chocolate, Percy, Naruto said. It tastes awesome, you know. Percy projected a nervous smile. It was the goddess who decided to break the ice. Are you surprised by my appearance? Honestly, I still can't get over Naruto calling you mom, even you look younger. The son of Poseidon copied Naruto's signature head scratch. Hey, I don't mind, Naruto said. Who am I to question my mother's preferences? You're his son. Percy phrased that in a form of a question. Oh, Naruto. You know I wouldn't mind if you did ask, Artemis said. If you feel uncomfortable, I could pick something that suits your comfort. It's okay, Carson, you know, Naruto said. There's a reason you do this, right? Artemis nodded. I can appear as a grown woman or a blazing fire if I chose to, but this is what I prefer. This is the average age of my hunters and all young maidens for whom I am a patron for before they go astray. Go astray. Percy looked confused as Zoe scoffed at his question. Grow up. Become smitten with boys. Become silly, preoccupied, insecure. Forget themselves. She explained. Okay, Percy answered. Zoe didn't look amused by that or by his presence in general. Percy didn't know which, but he was pretty used to those gazes from the girls in school. Except, this one was worse somehow. To somehow get out of the predicament, he spoke up, what did you ask me here for? Yes, Artemis began. I believe you were told some disturbing things by the beast. I'd like to hear them. Oh, well you see, Percy began telling everyone that the maticore had told. He mentioned about a general and something about the monsters stirring. Naturally, he got some of the words wrong, to which Naruto teased playfully. As the son of Poseidon narrated, Zoe's expression adopted a somber look. When he was finished, Artemis stroked Naruto's hand, earning a look of concern from the blonde. Oh Carson, is something the matter? He asked. I had my suspicions that I hoped things would prove wrong, but after listening to this boy's tale, I fear they are right. The scent, milady. Zoe asked. Yes, was all she spoke out to the lieutenant's question. What scent? Percy asked. Things that I haven't hunted in millennia are stirring, Artemis muttered. Pray, so old I have nearly forgotten about them. She stared at Percy. We came here sensing the maticore, but he was not the one we seek. Tell me again what Dr. Thorne told you. Percy thought for a moment. I hate middle school dance. That's obviously not what my mom was asking, you know, Naruto commented. He said somebody called the general was going to explain things to me. He said I would do just fine since Naruto wasn't here right now. Percy narrated, causing Zoe's face to pale. General, you don't mean? Naruto and Zoe said at the same time. Not here, you two, the goddess said. Go on, Percy. Thorne was talking about a great stir pot. That doesn't sound right, Percy, Naruto corrected. Oh right, sorry, Percy said. He talked about a great stirring, and soon the most important monster of all will rise, the one that shall bring about the downfall of Olympus once and for all. That doesn't sound too good, the blonde commented. Thee think? Zoe said, rolling her eyes. Maybe, he was lying. Percy suggested in order to lighten the mood in the room. I am afraid he wasn't, Artemis said. I have been too slow to see the signs. I must leave to hunt this monster. Zoe tried to sound brave, though you could hear the fear in her voice. We shall leave right away, milady. No, Zoe. This is something I must do on my own. Artemis shot her down. But, Artemis, she tried to argue, but it was for naught. This task is too dangerous even for the hunters. You know where I must start my search. You cannot go there with me. Artemis explained. As you wish, Zoe reluctantly relented. Oh Carson, Naruto looked at her with worry. Will you be okay? Trust in me, my son. I shall hunt for this monster and be back in Olympus by the winter solstice. Perhaps it will be proof enough to make the council believe in how much danger we are already in. Then, you know which monster it is? Percy asked. Let us pray I am wrong, she squeezed Naruto's hand. Can goddesses pray? Percy fired another question at Artemis' question. A flicker of a smile played across the goddess' lips. I am beginning to like your friend here, Naruto. Well, he does lighten up the mood no matter how dire the situation we are in, the blonde answered. Artemis smiled. Anyway, Naruto, may I ask a favor from you? Anything for you, Carson, Naruto said. Could I ask you to escort your sisters to Camp Half-Blood? They can stay there in the meantime. Artemis asked, much to the dismay of Zoe. What? The lieutenant blurted out. But we absolutely despise that place. The last time we stayed there. I'm sure that Dionysus wouldn't hold a grudge because of your little misunderstanding. It's your right to use cabin 8 whenever you need it. And, I heard they rebuilt the cabins you've burnt down. Artemis said. Man, is it that bad? Naruto asked aloud. Are you sure this is a good idea, Carson? Naruto's words made Zoe look at him and point at him accusingly. If we must stay there, then I refuse to stay in the same cabin as this person. Naruto sighed. I guess it can't be helped. I guess I'll have to work things out with the other cabins. Don't worry, I'll be out of your hair for the time being. Then, it's settled, Artemis said. But, how are we going to get there? Percy inquired. Dawn is approaching. And you know who comes with the sun, Artemis said with distaste in her words. You don't mean? Naruto said upon realizing. Yes, my boy, Artemis nodded. It's time for you to meet your uncle Apollo. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.